Hey everybody, how are we doing today? I hope you all have had a wonderful weekend and a good morning so far. I want to talk to you today about faith and questioning God and doubts. So, have you ever asked yourself, why doesn't God show me things? Why don't I see the miracles that other people do? Is my faith just not good enough? Is it not strong enough? I mean, have we ever been in the situation where we really needed God to do something, but for some reason He wouldn't do it for us, but someone else that we know, He did do it for them? Thomas gets a lot of flack. Doubting Thomas, he's become a parable. But how many of you can relate to that? You can just be like, Thomas asked, he said, I won't believe if I don't see it. And here we are, and I'm not seeing anything, but I'm supposed to believe. And how many of us find ourselves kind of in conflict for just talking like that? People are like, no, you've got to have faith. You can't talk like that. You talk like that, you're going to ruin your chances with God. It just becomes a whole mess. It becomes confusing. Well, it shouldn't be confusing. Let's sort through it today. Our waters are going to flow from the book of John, chapter 20, and we're just going to do 24 through 28 or 29. We're just going to cover Thomas's story. But Thomas, one of the 12, called Didymus, was not with them when Jesus came. The other disciples therefore said unto him, We have seen the Lord. But he said unto them, Except I see in his hands the print of the nails, and put my finger into the print of the nails, and thrust my hand into his side, I will not believe. And after 8 days again, his disciples were within, and Thomas being with them. Then came Jesus, the doors being shut, and stood in the midst, and said, Peace be unto you. Then said he to Thomas, Reach hither thy finger, and behold my hands, and reach hither thy hand, and thrust it into my side, and be not faithless, but believing. And Thomas answered and said unto him, My Lord and my God. Jesus saith unto him, Thomas, because thou hast seen me, thou hast believed. Blessed are they that have not seen, and yet have believed. Now, when we take the entire gospel, all 4 gospels together, it almost appears like John's not really being fair when he talks about Thomas. It seems like he's setting him up to look like a really, really bad disciple. Well, the rest of them were pure. When you look at the same instances in the book of Luke, we see a different story. So in verse chapter 24, all this is going to come from chapter 24, verse 10 says, It was Mary Magdalene and Joanne and Mary the mother of James and the other women that were with them, which told these things unto the apostles. They ran to the apostles. Jesus is in the tomb. Verse 11 says, And their words seemed to them as idle tales, and they believed them not. Then arose Peter and ran to the sepulchre. Stooping down, he beheld the linen cloths laid by themselves, and departed, wondering in himself at that which was come to pass. So when the disciples were told Jesus is risen, they didn't believe. None of them believed. Peter went and investigated. And when John tells the story, he says he went with them too. Peter and John both went to investigate the empty tomb. No one believed. And then we get verse 37. It's pretty cool. It says, But they were terrified and affrighted, and supposed that they had seen a spirit. This is after Jesus says unto them, Peace be unto you. They were already told he was risen from the dead, and when he showed up in their midst and said, Peace, they were terrified. They thought it was a ghost. And he said unto them, Why are ye troubled? And why do thoughts arise in your hearts? Behold my hands and my feet, that it is I myself. Handle me and see, for a spirit hath not flesh and bones, as ye see me have. He literally shows them his hands and his feet. so that they know it's him, so that they can believe. So why is Thomas the bad disciple? Why is John writing it this way? John conveniently leaves out that part where he showed up to them first and says, touch my hands and my feet. I think there's a real point, though. And I think it's something that'll help you, especially if you've been asking questions. Why don't I see things? Why can't God show me things? We have to understand that the disciples were wrecked in their mind. Emotionally, they were just wiped out. So, of course, they weren't thinking clearly. None of them were. We don't live in that world. Now, we do get wrecked emotionally. We do have problems like that. But we didn't just watch Jesus die. We didn't just see Jesus die and then are told 3 days later, oh, his body's gone. And then he shows up in our house. It's a completely different situation from the situations that we go through. So keep that in mind. But here's the real point. Our faith in God is built through testimony and through ministry. You see things. That's amazing. Your faith is built from hearing about things that happen to other people, from hearing what the Word says. That's how our faith is built. Peter and John didn't believe Mary and the other women, but they went to investigate to see what was really going on. Thomas flatly said, until he shows up and proves to me it's him, I'm not going to believe. That's the difference. That's the difference in our lives. That's the difference in all of our situations. How are you going to handle things? If you are asking, why isn't God doing things? That's not a bad thing. You're not a bad person. You are normal. You are a human. You're going to get discouraged. It's going to happen. And when those times happen, God will send people to build your faith. It seems like everybody and their mother is having prayers answered because he's making you aware of people who are having their prayers answered to build your faith. And the question is, how are you going to respond? Are you going to be like Peter and investigate? Are you going to run to the scene? You had something miraculous happen to you? Tell me all about it. Or are you going to be like Thomas and you're going to stand up and say, I've got a lot of things that make me feel justified in this. Got all kinds of scripture saying God's supposed to do things. Until he shows up and does what he says he's going to do, I'm not going to believe that he's going to do it. See the difference? See, the faith of Thomas is that he did believe when he saw. When Jesus reinforced for him, he did believe. And he said, my Lord, my God, he believed. And sometimes when God gives us those miracles, it does just boost our belief. But the real blessings are from the people who don't have to see it happen to believe. They're able to take what they know happened with other people. They're able to investigate it. They're able to see it all the way through. And they're able to keep praying and believing. Because if God did it for them, eventually he's going to do it for me too. God bless you all. Don't let God's silence discourage you from believing in his ability. Let him build your faith the way he wants to. And have a wonderful day. God bless you all. In Jesus' name.